Good morning, and thank you for joining us on Insights on Citizen FM 93.7. My name is Lawrence Umotte, and it's 10 minutes past 10 in the city of Abuja, and time for us to get down to business. Well, events in the Nigerian political scene have continued to dominate public space. This is to be expected, no doubt. The general elections have just been concluded. Inauguration of a new administration is billed for 34 days' time. The Presidential Elections Petition Tribunal is there. It's really an interesting time for Nigeria, and the stakes are quite high. On Insight today, we are staying on the challenge for Nigeria post-2023 election, a series we started yesterday, and my guest today is Dr. Law Mefo, who is a forensic and social psychologist. He is also a journalist and a public policy analyst. Dr. Mefo, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, Dr. Mefo. Thank you. Okay, I think we can get you now. Good morning, Dr. Mefo. Oops. Okay, I think we need to take a short break and fix our line well. We'll be back in a moment. Yeah, sorry about that. It's still Insight on Citizen FM 93.7. Yes, we can get Dr. Mefo cleaner and cleaner. Good morning, Dr. Mefo.
Yeah, good morning, Lawrence. Good morning, Nigerians.
Okay, Dr. Mefo, yesterday we started a series on the challenge ahead for Nigeria as a nation, as a country. What are the challenges ahead of Nigerians, ahead of Nigeria, ahead of the citizens, now that we will have a new government come May 29 this year, in about 34 days' time, as I said. So we're going to look at a lot of issues, and I'm sure you are aware of so many of them ahead, and we will need you to help us make sense of some of these issues as we go ahead. And you can follow us on our social media platform, on Facebook at Citizen FM Abuja, on Instagram at Citizen FM 937, and also on Twitter at Citizen FM 937. So that's how it's going to be. At 10:30 we will open the phone lines and you'll be able to interact with us. You can also join us on YouTube, our live stream on YouTube. Simply type in Citizen FM 937 and you can be part of the show live on the internet. My guest once again is Dr. Law Mefo, a forensic and social psychologist. Thank you so much, Dr. Mefo, once again for joining us on Insight. Okay, Dr. Mefo, straight on. Before we even look at some of the challenges ahead, yesterday the media was awash with a suit filed by one Ambrose Owuru, a former presidential candidate of the Hope Democratic Party in 2019. He approached the Court of Appeal seeking a fresh prohibitive injunction, as he called it, against the inauguration. This came out of the blues. What do you make of this?
Yeah, well, you see, when you have problems you should deal with and you leave them to fester, they can rear, their ugly heads and the man has tried to use that to put spanner in the work. I believe that the Supreme Court will but I was thinking that the man ought to have approached the Supreme Court to out and settled outside it.
Well, Doctor.
Of course, it could be a proxy war, whether we like it or not. And also knowing Nigerian politicians, he may have seen that this could be something also for him. So it may also be something he is trying to stretch quite on his own. Don't forget he went to court even before the present presidential election. So he went to court. The onus of proof on the relevance of his suit, has been laid before the judiciary. And the apex court, as far as I am concerned, the Supreme Court of Nigeria is the one that failed us here. But like I said, they may have looked at the matter as being of much less consequence compared to the avalanche of workload they have to deal with. Nigeria has only one Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
And all the cases coming from state high court, federal high court, Sharia court, area court, all end up in the Supreme Court. And it's a big problem.
Okay.
So these are some of the structural issues that the country has to deal with.
Okay.
In the U.S., you don't have one Supreme Court. You don't.
Oh, all right, so, Dr. Mefo, we really need to move very fast because there are a lot of things we need to talk about. First, the challenge of the president-elect. He came in a few days ago after some rest outside the country. Now there's a challenge of picking his cabinet. He has told Nigerians that he's going to hit the ground running. Between now, from your experience of Nigerian politics, between now and May 29, what do you think is likely to happen in the camp of the president-elect?
Well, you see, for me, picking his cabinet shouldn't even be uppermost on his mind at the moment. And I say this with every sense of patriotism. You know, the validity of his victory is still being contested. And they will be contested for up to next 6 months. Because if you check the Electoral Act, allocate
October
days. Yes, so, you know, and then after that, another 2 months, you know, from the Supreme Court, because the matter starting with the Supreme Court. You know, so for me, whatever government is putting in place at the moment, you know, whether you like it or not, cannot really be the main issue now. His focus should be, like I said, his focus should be working out a platform, you know, where the country can even connect. You need to have a nation before you talk about government and ministers and all that. The level of tension is just too much. I'm not seeing enough moves towards reconciling roiled emotions and frayed nerves and all that. You know, so for me, in terms of if Tinubu is able to reach a deal, I expect to see government of national unity. You know, they don't necessarily have to be politicians. They have to be essentially technocrats, as far as I am concerned. I always look at the cabinet of somebody like Obasanjo. You see the ponderance of technocracy. That of a good luck, Jonathan, you know, almost followed it. And I think that is what Tinubu should think about. And as he's doing so, he should spread out and create the impression that he's really working on national unity. So that's the first thing to deal with. Reconciling Nigerians, you know, bringing all parts of the country together. I looked at this transition committee. There is no single Igbo man there. That may be an oversight, but I think it's a grievous one. He shouldn't put that in mind that brought the Buhari administration in direct confrontation with the Southeast. And therefore, 8 years, no love lost between the administration and the Southeast. Even all the things that Buhari did in the Southeast went unappreciated. For example, the second Niger bridge and all that went unappreciated because the people, you know, believe that for optics and for public perception that they were excluded from the Buhari administration. I just used the example of the Transition Council, even though it's a small committee of 16 or 19 persons. But I don't see the injury one Igbo man would have done being in that mix. You know, being a part of the quadrilateral that is holding the country. Whoever ignores any of the three major ethnic groups in anything he's doing in Nigeria simply doesn't want the unity. That's just the truth. So I see Nigeria standing on a four-legged, pillars. Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, and the minority. You must anchor whatever you are doing on those four pillars for optics, to show that everybody is carried along. This point is very fundamental. Buhari made that mistake, and I give an example that everything Buhari did for the Southeast went unappreciated. In fact, for me, Buhari may have done more, for the Southeast, more than Obasanjo, more than good luck Jonathan combined. I give example of second Niger bridge. I used it during December So, but the people are not simply not happy with the administration. So it's something that Tinubu shouldn't really try to repeat, because it won't be nice. It won't be nice at all. So yes, he has to work on a government, even on interim basis, because he has to view such government as an interim, because anything can happen at the tribunal and at the Supreme Court. And more importantly, also to help Tinubu, there is something the tribunal needs to do. There are 2 to 3 key points of law that they need to really set aside before going into the issues of how we're voting, collation and everything. When the declaration, there are 3 key issues that once they are able to, dispense with immediately, then the other ones can come in the next 6 months, during the final works of the tribunal and their pronouncement, and of course, the work being uploaded to the Supreme Court for final determination. These 3 issues are the claim of double nomination of the vice president, the issue of narcotic fund forfeiture in the U.S., and 25% for FCT for whoever would be the president. These 3 issues must be set aside as quickly as possible. And I believe that they can be resolved before May 29. So if they are really substantive, if they are really substantive and the president cannot be elected on those terms, either 1 or 3 of them, then there will be no need to even proceed with the other aspects of the petitions before the tribunal. So, but if the tribunal is able to deal with these issues are considered preliminary, decide on them, and the Supreme Court does the same, then we will know whether even the cabinet of people will be necessary. Because if you are not proceeding on substantive issues in the petitions before the tribunal, if you are not proceeding, then there will be no need to talk about government. So these are issues the president-elect should focus on. He has to focus on these and lay a foundation for a formidable government in succeed at the tribunal. And of course in the interim also, because the once is sworn in on May 29th, it means that he has the chance of staying there till October, November, even if he's going to leave.
Okay, Dr. Mafa, I understand the point you're making in that case, but at least from our experience with tribunal rulings or rulings of the Supreme Court on issues like this, they are not likely to make rulings on those things individually. Maybe they wait until when it's time for judgment, then they'll now start taking them one by one. But then that's the issue for the tribunal. As it moves on, we'll have a lot of talking points to move on to. Dr. Mefo, yes. Let's go to some issue. I know that in the course of this program, you've had cause to say 1 or 2 things about it. But today, let's look at the need for an electoral reform. It's been on the public burner for some time, and some people have said, well, now that the elections are over, maybe we need to take a second look at some aspects of our elections. Maybe one of them could be ending litigations before swearing in of candidates who are winners. And then another one may also be taking a look at electronic voting in total. Are these things too ambitious for us to start thinking about?
Well, the issue of electronic components in our electoral system is already fairly addressed by the Electoral Act 2022.
No, and we're talking about a comprehensive constitutional requirement this time.
No, wait a minute. You see, what we call comprehensive constitutional requirement may hardly be necessary when you have not even implemented the basic ones that have been made available by the Electoral Act 2022, because all the provisions, the key provisions of the Electoral Act 2022 were simply set aside by INEC. For example, if you check Section 64, subsection 4 of the Electoral Act 2022.
Dr. Mefo, just a moment. Let's take this call, please. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, Dr. Mefo, you may proceed with your thoughts.
It says the presiding officer or the collecting officer shall collect and announce results subject to, the results uploaded from the polling unit. It's an express provision. And nobody paid attention to that. So when we talk about making such issues constitutional matter, I don't see how that is the immediate problem we have. What we have is flagrant abuse of even the available laws and nobody taking responsibility. We want to know, yes, there are a few ambiguities here and there, ambiguities introduced by those who would benefit from creating the confusion, like what happened in Adamawa, where Ari had to announce Binani as the governor, right? Whereas there is a returning officer, especially appointed by law. Yes, he went ahead and did what he did. And if you go to the Electoral Act, you will still see some provisions that the man may have relied on or claimed to have relied on until the court tells us we may never know which is which. But, for me, the problem is not the law. It's not. The problem is the actors. Nigerians, INEC as an institution has not really shown that it wants to be non-partisan, that that it wants to be neutral, that it wants to remain an umpire. INEC has been very, 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 very active in descending into the arena, colluding with the political parties and candidates. So, it's sort of arrive at victory for who they play. That is where the problem is. And I believe it is coming from what was addressed by Wise committee report that was set up by President Umaru Musa Yaradua. When Iwu was in Abuja here announcing presidential results, whereas voting and collation was still going on in the state, Yaradua was alarmed, even though he was declared the president. So when he eventually came in, he brought in the Wise committee to try and recommend things that should be done so that such a thing does not happen again. They recommended many far-reaching measures that must be taken and made into law in Nigeria. What happened in 2007 under Iwu, and what happened in 2023 under Professor Yakubu. If those things will not happen, Wise report says remove the president and appointer of the chairman, of the appointer of the chairman and the electoral commissioners. This is exactly what must be done, first and foremost. They vested that power in the NJC doing a public declaration of offices open and people applying, and then themselves shortlisting and for confirmation to National Assembly, directly bypassing the president. This has not been addressed. That's the kind of thing your proposed reform should be focusing on. And the Wise report also talked about a board, the way the board must be constituted, the kind of people that will constitute the board, and compulsory membership of those of the boards by female gender. I think they made the provision of at least 2 female in the board, and the role of the board. As of now, there doesn't seem to be any board for INEC. What that means, the chairman of INEC is acting alone. Others are just there watching and advising him. But if you have a board, the board will take a decision. For example, when some opposition voices were raising objections and raising petitions and complaints at International Conference Center during the declaration of Tinubu as the president-elect, it was the board that was supposed to sit and take a decision on those complaints. And that's it. But in this case, we saw that the decision to go on ahead and ask everybody else to go to court was taken by Professor Mahmoud, all by himself. We didn't see any meeting. He called for no meeting. If they called for a meeting to examine certain things and take certain decisions, it will be known to the public. So these are the kind of things that wise reports said must be done if you will have anything, resembling free, fair, credible election in Nigeria.
Okay.
The Yaradua Settled Back Committee didn't do anything about the recommendations. He was sick, immediately after, and then passed on. Good Lord, that inherited power from him, didn't do anything. All he did was to say that they appointed Professor Zika without knowing him. Is that the law? We are talking about the law. You appointed Zika without knowing him. You didn't make such appointment into law. If you have made it into law, Buhari would not go to Tetfon to take Professor Mahmoud that he knows. What is the issue here?
Okay.
So when we personalize the state craft, personalize it, and we later begin to shout that there is no free and fair election, when Obasanjo had the power, when Goodluck Jonathan had the power, what did they do about this thing? What did they do? So it's not a matter of blaming Buhari that exploited the lacuna, the lacuna for different benefits, and for the way we want to ask work on the laws, work on and that remain those laws.
Okay, Dr. Mefa, we really need to take a short break. We will return in a moment. Please don't go away.
Investigations, special reports, analysis, and breaking news. Premium Times, a leading multimedia news platform, brings to you every minute stories that helps you make informed decisions and hold public officials, individuals, and organizations accountable. We have cartoons, videos, podcasts, and other interesting content for your delight. For timely update on politics, entertainment, sport, and business, visit our website on www.premiumtimesng.com and follow us on all our social media platforms. Don't miss out.
Eunanda ni bila kane rinni. Ile di kunyala na kwa bani bila vabesaka ineta Abuja ana Citizen FM 93.7 era so metete ene ya ni bila va se no seve ini radio ononi eku yo ni va se no seve ini ya bani bila saka ovi eku ijumo eku Saturday ateku yo se eku etononi agugo himboluva ava se men wa bani bila do ye ineta Abuja ezo wa ya kene ake wale jiri nuwo do aka isana na inoku down ni ebila kanere ume ovi oni va se kale ni ya bani bila saka de kada wona geten aboni.
Hi, Hi, my name is Rita Ezenwa Okoro, the founder and lead visionary of Street Project Foundation. Join the Street Project Foundation ambassadors Fridays, 8:30 a.m. on Citizen FM 93.7. We will be addressing key social issues such as xenophobia, police brutality, religious intolerance, youth profiling, insecurity, and other social issues in our radio drama series titled Umotte, This is Real Life. Remember, Fridays, 8:30 a.m. on Citizen FM 93.7.
93.7 Citizen FM.
Let's talk about it on our favorite radio station.
We're more than just a radio station. We are a part of your life.
Yes, thank you for staying tuned. It's still Insight on Citizen FM 93.7. My name is Lawrence Umotte, and it's 10:40. We're gradually winding down, and we are looking at Nigeria post-2023 elections. What are the challenges? My guest is still standing by, Dr. Law Mefo, forensic and social psychologist. Dr. Mefo, thank you for standing by.
Thank you.
Yes, and you can follow us on our social media platforms on Facebook, on Instagram, on Facebook at Citizen FM Abuja, on Instagram at Citizen FM 93.7, and on Twitter at Citizen FM 937. And also the phone lines are also open. You can call us on 0903 2229 797. That's 0903 29797, and also you can call us on 0818 2222206, 0818 2222206. Let's talk. Just call us on any of those numbers, and you can send us a WhatsApp message too, and let's talk about it. Dr. Mefo, before we went on break, you actually addressed one part of that question, which was the recruitment of INEC officials. The second part was ending litigation before swearing in of candidates.
Yes. You know, I was a moment ago saying that the tribunal should try to deal with some three points of law. As a way of even meeting the litigants halfway, and that's one. Then I say so because of just this question you raised. If you look at it, since 1999, what I am saying is not just a Tinubu thing. It has been the practice since 1999. In 1999, Olufala challenged the election of Obasanjo, and Obasanjo was sworn in before that matter was disposed of. In 2003, the same thing happened. Obasanjo was sworn in again before the opposition, the petition of Buhari was dispensed with. The same thing happened in 2007. Yaradua was sworn in before the petition of Buhari was dispensed with. It happened in 2011. Jonathan was sworn in again, and then only in 2015 the swearing in of the president-elect didn't take place. Why? Because Jonathan did not go to tribunal. Now, there is a very big problem here. You see, there is no evidence that the governors-elect, the presidents-elect, use their resources to prosecute the challenge they face from their opponents at the tribunal up to the Supreme Court. It is the state resources that are often deployed. It is wrong. And one way you can deal with this Apart from the state resources that are available to the president-elect, the governor-elect, you also have the problem of perception, problem of the beneficiary, the person that has been sworn in, having to do everything he or she could do to remain in power. So don't forget that the judges are human beings. They come under pressure. Many of them are not saints also, and there are files that are available in places like EFCC, ICPC, Code of Conduct Bureau, can be used to blackmail them. And you see them working on technicalities rather than on substantive judgment. And this is a very big problem. It is very wrong. You can't swear. For example, you will swear in a president-elect as a substantive president. He is already substantive. He is not acting president. The law does not even say you are an acting president until we are done with your case. In this case, these are the limits of the powers you can exercise. No. The president-elect, whose case is still there at the tribunal, translate and becomes substantive president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, commander-in-chief. All the arms of government, everything that has to do with governance in Nigeria, appointing a service chief, IG of police, ministers, everything is under him. So removing such a person after assuming power becomes rather difficult, because you see, the person will try to stay there. So that is why you can't hear of an appended presidential election in Nigeria since 1999. The closest we came was in 2007 when the Supreme Court nearly cancelled the presidential election because it was an open charade, an open robbery, open rape on democracy. But at the end of the day, the four of them still voted that they should just leave the thing to be, but institute far-reaching reforms. That was all we got out of 2007. For the situation to be different in 2023, it remains to be seen. Really remains to be seen. Otherwise, it is a necessary law. And it was one of the recommendations of the Wise report. The Wise Committee report said that elections should hold 6 months before handover, so that everything about litigation must have been concluded. That's one of their recommendations.
Okay.
The electoral reforms that were done since then, none of the reforms brought that into force. So that is something that must be, as a matter of urgency, revisited.
Okay, Dr. Mefo, another challenge for the nation and perhaps maybe for the president-elect will be the election of the presiding officers of the National Assembly. This is high stakes. We have seen in the media space what's been going on in the last couple of days and everything. You are also familiar with how things work out at the National Assembly. What is likely to play out before the election?
Well, at the Senate, the APC, the ruling party, has about, I think, 57. And it's still not an absolute majority to elect the Senate president, even though they enjoy what you may call a more comfortable majority. In the House of Representatives, the situation is even more critical because you need 181 to elect the Speaker of House of Representatives, and APC has about I think 172. What that means is that they must compulsorily go into alliance with a political party to be able to reach the 181 honorable members threshold to be able to elect the Speaker of their choice. And again, if you look at it, the opposition parties have about that same 181 or 182 members, what does that tell you? It means that if the opposition political parties really work together coherently, they can put in place a speaker that is not of the APC extraction. So it's a very dicey situation, and it calls for extreme leadership, maskmanship, and Tinubu is capable of both. And I understand he's already holding a wide consultations. He must be interested in who becomes the Senate President and who becomes the Speaker of House of Representatives. This is very, very important. It's not necessarily to have what you call Robert Stamp National Assembly, as some would wish to call a National Assembly led by Senator Ahmad Lawan and Femi Gbajabiamila. But in terms of, if you look at performance, you look at performance. The National Assembly you call Robert Stamp may have achieved more than others before them. Because let me look at two key laws. In Petroleum Industrial Act, they are the ones that pulled it through. Then the evolution of power in Nigeria, the so-called restructuring and restoration of Nigeria to federalism, happened only last month. Under the regime, it means that all the national assemblies before, they never achieved that. They were the ones that have been able to bring about the evolution of power. For example, railway is now in concurrent list. Apart from railway, electricity is now on concurrent list. You have the financial autonomy for state assemblies, for the state judiciary. These things never happened before them. So if it will take a Robert Stamp National Assembly to get the work done, so be it, as far as I am concerned. Because when you talk about legislative independence, it shouldn't be seen as being on war path with the executive all the time. You should work together, but of course you keep your distance. There's an adage in my place that says that he who should dine with the devil will have to hold a very long spoon. So if you are wise, you know where to draw the line. So people should make sure that both the Senate President and the Speaker are of APC extraction. This is very, very important. This will enable him have less rancor, less rancorous relationship between the executive arm and the National Assembly. And Nigeria will be better for it, because we have a lot of critical issues to address, and some of these things border on constitutional amendment, and you need total cooperation of the National Assembly to be able to pull those through. So what I anticipate will happen is that Tinubu will take very deep interest in who comes in, and the more deft his moves are, the better for him. And if he succeeds in that, he will get a cooperative National Assembly, not necessarily a pliable National Assembly, cooperative National Assembly, so that the government, the three arms of government, will work as one, coordinate, taking on each other, but not necessarily being overly antagonistic. And we have seen crazy times when the National Assembly was just up in arms against the government of a particular Olusegun Obasanjo. That led to what you may call the highest turnover of Senate presidents in Nigerian political history, to the point that up to 5 Senate presidents were produced in less than 10 years, in less than 8 years of Obasanjo's presidency.
All right, Dr. Meforth, I think we have to leave it at that. There's a lot more to talk about when it comes to the issue of challenges facing the new administration, challenges facing Nigeria. For political parties, they have their own challenge, which they also need to do. Even the citizens and even our electoral processes and so many other things, security is education, health, and so many other issues. I think, Dr. Mefo, this is a discussion that we will continue another day. But for now, we have to leave it at that. Thank you so much, Dr. Mefo, for your intervention. It's always a pleasure.
Have a blessed day.
Have a blessed day too. It's always a pleasure listening to you. Well, that's Dr. Law Mefo, forensic and social psychologist, and also a public policy analyst on Insights. That's where we draw the curtains today, and let's make it a date tomorrow. My name is Lawrence Umotte. Bye-bye for now.